Welcome back to another episode of Primal AF. Today, I got my boy Tom on here. He is a primal athlete turned coach. He talks about discipline, he talks about goal setting, and he talks about mindset. So check him out. He's in the UK. If you can, go ahead and like us on Instagram, Primal AF Podcast. And let's send it.
Tom,
Hello.
what's going on, man?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Doing all right. Let's go.
Awesome.
Oh man. So how long have you been with Primal?
I started with Primal in May of last year.
How you like it so far?
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Yeah,
It's
I mean the physical results just speak for themselves, you know.
dog, I'm saying. I'm saying. What's the weather like over there?
Haha. Uh Cold and rainy.
You see how I like to relate with people from the UK? It's the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's normally the same answer with the weather as well, isn't it?
To be honest, it's a little bit warmer over here, but it's still rainy. It's like that
Right?
season.
Yeah,
But it's cool,
cool.
man. Let's get into it. I saw that you started like you got a coaching thing going. Um,
Yeah.
let's go coaching. What's that about?
So what it is basically coaching, but not only training the sort of physical body, but also the mind. Um, so you things like goal setting, finding out your whys, working on your emotional responses through fears. Yeah.
So you get into it. Like how many people you got with you so far?
So this first group, we're only on the first group at the minute, and there is five in the group.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah, it's a
funny.
really
Well, I saw your name pop up, and then you kind of like what you do, and the reason that it attracted me really quickly because like especially over here when we watch like American football or golf or something, when anybody does anything just like awesome or extraordinary, like they all look at the crowd, they look at the bench, and they do the same thing. They're like, "Let's go!" Right? I'm like, "Oh man!" And that's kind of like a family. It's like a family catchphrase for me and my boys, and my wife. Like if they score a goal in soccer or okay, it's football, but if they score a goal, they look at me and they're like, "Let's go!" So it's kind of funny. Like, oh man, this is pretty cool. What compelled
awesome.
you to get that started?
So going into coaching has been something that I've wanted to do for quite a while.
Mhm.
And then the idea was, oh, I'm not ready. I'm not able to do this. I don't have a big enough sort of story, or why would anybody sort of want to listen to me? And then as I sort of progressed through last year, I was like, why not? If I sort of took a look back at my life and thought, well, if I knew what I knew now at sort of 18, 19-year old, I wouldn't have had to go through half of the things that I went through. So the angle originally was to be sort of coaching young lads, young guys. Yeah.
So what do you think your like age group dynamic is right in the lower 20s?
Then I thought about it more, and I was like, well, I know people that are older than me that don't have the skills that I have to be able to get through life, to be able to put themselves, even simple things like goal setting,
Hmm.
don't set goals. Um, so then it was like, well, this is available for anyone. I mean, three. Yeah, 3 of the 5 that we have on the course at the minute are all over 40.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
So I
we're
mean,
all
the young,
chasing all of the because I'm 40 as well. We're all
right?
chasing that, we're trying to chase time, and it's
Right.
fleeting. So we're trying to do everything that we can to grasp it and be like, man, I want to be like a, well, I was pretty athletic in my 20s, but we're trying to just trying to be that dude.
Yeah.
So
It
you kind of
seems to
help
be
guys get there.
what were you saying there, Jim?
I said you kind of help guys get there, like through goal setting.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels a bit like people sort of have an awakening. They get to sort of 40 and they sort of start to look back at their life and think, I've done this, I've not done that, and they get into that sort of age where the body's starting to slow down. They're starting to put weight on. There's things in the back of their mind like, diseases, cancer and diabetes and all this sort of scary stuff. So they see people seem to take a lot more action when that's at the door, you know, which is yeah, it's a mad thing. Yeah.
So what do you think, what are your core values that attract people over to you?
Um the the fact that we are going down the mindset route, I think that's so important, and because I can go to a gym and I can blast you for an hour or an hour, and you'll keep that up for a few months. But then as soon as we get a few months down the line and you're not working with me anymore, you're just going to revert back. You're just going to go back to sitting on the settee and just eating crap and just because we haven't made any changes up here. And this is the point that a lot of PTs miss is the fact that you're not making those mental changes. You're just taking somebody into a gym and you are blasting them, and then that's it. So the difference, the thing that draws people in is that because it's like it's the lasting goal. So one of the big things that I want to work on, or that we do work on, is that changing somebody's mentality towards training, towards the nutrition. We've got people already are saying, "Oh well, I missed this session, but what I'm going to do, I'll use that as a rest day and I'll put that in there." So they're already sort of thinking, they're making these small changes
Mhm.
that you need to make, you know. The small changes, they lead to the big wins.
Yeah, I love that. Um, how do you think that, like, when you first meet these 5 guys, I'm sure their intentions, like, they came to you out of desperation, right? But what do you think is the main thing they get wrong that you help them fix?
Starting too big too quickly. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the main ones. I'm gonna get up at 5 a.m. and I'm gonna run 10 mile. Yeah, keep that up. Perfect. Yeah, yeah, it never lasts.
I could so relate with that because when I first got into OCR, what was it, 3, 4 years ago? I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna send it. So I signed up for the hardest race in North America, and I didn't do like a 5K or a 10K, or I didn't even do a beast. I signed up for the 50K. So I was like,
Wow.
like Killington 50K, DNF the shit out of it. I was like, all right, I need help. I need help up here. I probably needed you back then. I need help up here, but I need help. I need help with a lot. But yeah, I could totally relate with that.
Yeah. Setting the setting the goals and the lasting goals as well. That's where a lot of people do go wrong. I know that a lot of PTs, they do set a goal. The A lot of people use SMART goals. So
Yeah. What are your
yeah,
thoughts
to
on
you.
that?
Well, a coach that I have in business says that SMART goals are shit goals. And I agree with him because there's a part in it that says realistic. They are. And it's like anything's realistic,
Yeah. Well, I
depending
think
on your level of thinking.
smart goals have their place, and I'm probably gonna get blown up for this, but this is probably for like people that aren't really good at setting goals. Like if you're
Yeah,
just at a novice level, but I mean they are helpful. But
yeah,
once you get into like very, very intentional goal setting, I mean it's not really, you're not setting a goal and you're just achieving the goal. You're setting the habits, a lot like what you're saying. You're setting the habits to achieve those goals.
yeah,
So like for you, I'm sure like some of these guys, they want to lose weight, they want to look better, they want to look cool naked, whatever. They want to do like 50 pull-ups, right? It's not the goal is cool, right? But you're working on the habits that get there. So you're working
yeah,
on nutrition and functional movement and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
What's what's kind of like a misconception people have on like the nutrition, what they're eating? Do you help them with that?
Yeah. Um, biggest, there's quite a few. Um, Portion sizes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I can remember sort of before Primal, before we started to really work on my own nutrition. Like, I'd say my point was it's homemade, so it'll be fine. There's no additives in it. But like, it was a huge plate of pasta. So it just like a mountain of food. And I was like, well, I'm bulking, aren't I? So but yeah, portion sizes, that's a really big one. People don't sort of seem to realize the calories in an actual portion and the size of a portion. Um, Another big one that is a hot topic, a very hot topic in the industry at the minute is your carbs.
Ah,
Everyone seems to be going over to the low carb, high fat um, lifestyle.
yeah. Do you
And
guys get any kickback on that when you kind of recommend something contrary to that?
yeah, so that's what I recommend to the clients is the higher fat diet. Um, just it's just purely because I know it works. I know it works because I've done it, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so then when you start to explain to people, well, why are we doing this? Well, you know, the carb is just an inferior fuel source. And then you start to talk about things like processed foods. So if you look into the additives in bread, like if you look at the ingredients on a packet of bread, and then people start doing it and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I've been eating this for years. Yep, this is the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's weird because when you first get introduced to like a different way of eating, you're thinking, man, I can't have pizza, I can't have like PB and J, I can't have like hoagies or whatever, potato chips, French fries, you can't have all that stuff. And I think for a lot of people, the gains that they get by taking away some of the shit food, it's almost addicting. You're like, oh, holy shit. Like this is probably worth
Absolutely.
it. Because I'll tell you,
Yeah.
I used to eat like a lot of ice cream. The things that I just mentioned, I used to eat, and add alcohol to it. Um, like a lot of alcohol, right?
Yep.
It wasn't serving at all. But once you get somebody that's good and intentional with goal setting, it's almost those things that you are achieving, like the ideal body and being lean and muscular and being, older and being able to see your abs for the first time in your life. Like, holy shit, this stuff is not important. And it's way more addicting. It's like the best
Yeah.
feeling in the world to like wake up and be like, ah, yeah, like, but yeah, it's really it's you just don't know how much nutrition plays into that.
Yeah. Um, like until I started with Primal, nutrition was never sort of a thing. Like I said earlier, like I was like, oh well, it's homemade, so you'd be fine. I didn't really sort of look into um calorie deficits or
Yeah.
even macros and things like that. It was sort of eat when you're hungry, eat whatever you like. But yeah, that's sort of the feeling that you're talking about. Like when you see yourself, like I'm not gonna lie, I struggle to not look in a mirror now. When I
Those
when I
mirrors look good, don't they?
yeah,
I get it. I get it. It's tough.
yeah,
And you know what though? We deserve it because it's not like we're showing off when we're being boastful or bragging about it, but we are celebrating the hard work and discipline that we put. And we're showing guys that are my age and your age, look what's possible. This is my trophy case. I mean, I don't really have to say anything.
that's it. That's it. And that's where a lot of the clients come from, because they go, they hear about me or what have you. We have a chat and what have you, and then they look online. They see sort of before and after photos of myself, and they see that result, and they're like, "Yeah, I want some of that."
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it's
it's
addicting. But there's like, do you get a lot of people that are skeptical? Like, what do you tell those guys?
um to be honest, I haven't had many haters yet, so
Oh, we need to
I'm
get you bigger.
I'm I'm yeah, I haven't had any yet. And to be honest, even when I do, they're not gonna bother me. I'll probably laugh and like send them a nice message like thanks.
You
Thank you
just
so much.
either that or just take off your shirt. Scoreboard, bitch.
Yeah. Love it.
So, all right, so mindset is a big part of what you train, and this should probably look familiar. Well, you can't see it right now, but this is it's off of your Instagram. It said 5 ways to
All
improve.
right.
Yeah, 5 ways to improve your mindset. Look for the positives, goal setting, know your why, self-talk, and how you attract. How do you
Yeah.
incorporate those things? Like when you're coaching somebody?
So your goal setting, that's that's the first thing,
Hmm.
you know, because we need to work out what you want, you know. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, I ask my friends and things all the time. I'm like, "What do you want out of life?" And they go, uh, um, "Wow, there's so many people just walking about and they don't know what they want out of life." So when you're training someone, they need to know what they want. Because then you can work on it, and you've got something to work towards. How can you hit a target if you don't know what the target looks like? So that's number one.
Yeah, it sounds
Uh,
like you're kind of like the guy that kicks people in the ass or jump starts them. Like they're just sitting in the ocean, kind of like on a boat with no motor, and they're just sitting there, and they're like, "Well, I want to go over there," but they're not doing anything about it. So
that's it.
you get the motor started and get their direction started, so that way now they have direction, and once you guys frame the target, then you got something to aim for, and you kind of help them along the way.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a really good analogy. I like it. So, yeah. Then the second one's your why.
Yeah.
Um, the why is so powerful because when you understand why you're doing it, and it's to a core, it's to your core and to your values. The why will get you up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym. If there's a storm, you're going for a long run. Your why, because your why goes so deep, and it's normally to do with like family or fear of like illness, you know, not being a failure and think like these really, really deep, powerful things. So that's what spurs you on and what will push you every time. But working that out is massive, you know.
Yeah.
There was, oh, sorry.
No, no. Like who do you work most with? Is it like do you work with like Liam or Matt Chin?
With Mitch, with Liam,
Mitch.
yeah,
Has he
yeah,
sent you that thing 7 layers deep?
yes, yeah.
Dude,
It's a
it's so simple, right? It's so simple. And we could use it across many different areas, but nutrition is a really good one because you take something that is materialistic and now it gets down to tying an emotion to it. And once you have an emotion, like that's the shit that exactly what you're talking about. That's the shit that gets you up at 5 a.m. Because essentially, why is that important? Why is that important? Why like and it's annoying if you verbally do something, if you verbally coach somebody like that, but like because I don't want to die. Like that's the last one. That's the last layer pretty much. Like my mind goes there. I mean, I'm a little bit morbid, but it's when I talk to people, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna ask you 7 questions. I'll just frame it as like they're gonna be the same question, but I want you to think about it. And the more I ask this, the harder it's going to get to answer. But like, hey, what's your goal? Well, I want to get to, you know, 84 kilograms, whatever. Why is that important? Well, because I want to look good. Why is that important? Because I'll be healthy. Why is that important? Because I'll get to play with my kids more. Why is that important? So I could be like it gets emotional the farther, and I think that's a very powerful. It was one of my favorite exercises because it's so simple.
yeah. It is so simple, but I think you've really got to be honest as
Yeah.
well. Like there's a lot of people squirm out of it when you actually sit them down and like, right, we're gonna do this. They're like, "Rah, I don't like it," and
Or they
it's
start justifying, or if you're like me, I'll use humor to deflect the question. And I've
yeah,
had people, like one of my coaches, I've had him like, it's like, you're deflecting with humor. Oh, shit. You got me.
yeah, yeah. It's when you start seeing them squirming. Like one guy just jumped up. He's like, "I need the toilet," and just walked out the room.
That's what my 8-year-old does when it's time to clean the house.
That's what I do when it's time to clean the house.
The areas of avoidance, he learns from the best. So also, yeah, so keep on going, mindset. So we have like the why and we have the goals. I mean, what else?
Why isn't the goals? As in from that post.
Hmm.
or what else was on it again? Sorry, if you still got it up.
Let's see. Um, I lost it now. But either way, like all those things were important when you're talking about mindset. How about this? One of the things on your post where it said gratitude kills sadness.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with that?
I think I actually heard it from Tony Robbins.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was a Tony Robbins, but yeah, it does. Like you, you can't sit there and think, I'm so grateful I'm alive, you know, and then be like, oh yeah, but I'm sad about I didn't get a promotion. You know, it just the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Uh-huh.
So if you start to become grateful and realize what you're grateful for and working out, what you are grateful for, you can't then be sad. It's like laughing and crying.
You can't do it.
You can't do it at the same time. Okay, you can laugh so much that tears come out your eyes. Yes, but you can't be emotional and crying and then be laughing. It's the complete opposite of the spectrum, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you have one, you can't have the other. It's almost like the gratitude drowns out the sadness.
Yeah, yeah. It's like focusing on the positives, you know? If you sort of focus on the positives in your life, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be huge. You don't have to have £1 million. You don't have to have a Ferrari, you know? Just something positive. Your mum's still alive. That's pretty positive. You have a job. That's
Yeah.
a really good one as well. Um, a lot of people will go, "Oh, I hate my job." Well, at least you have a job, you know. Don't say you hate your job. Say, I'm grateful that I have a job. There's a lot of people that don't have a job. There's a lot of people that would want your job and will fight another man for your job and your position.
Yeah. That's a great look at it. It's looking back in gratitude. Because also one of my coaches would talk about the language that's used here, and this is a mindset. The language that's used there is coming from a place of scarcity and lack, and that's like filling in an empty hole. You can't fill an empty hole into something else. So you can't say like, "Hey, I hate my job," and then be rewarded with a great job. You can say, I have a job and I would love a different one that pays more because now that's more intrinsic and
Yep.
it's out of abundance. Or,
Yeah.
I don't, I don't, my house is too small. I want a bigger one. It's the same thing. You're demeaning where you're at. Like, hey, like in your words, you have a house. You would
Yeah.
just love another one.
That's absolutely it. Yeah. Taking the positives from your situation. I think people sort of get a bit scared when you start talking about positivity. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna start dancing around the garden with like flowers on your head, be a hippie and all this stuff." And it's no, just you might wake up in the morning, look out the window, and think, live a pretty good life, you
But
know.
that's just I mean that's probably just like an energy, those type of people, because just like everything, you know, we try to live in almost like a homeostasis, like a balance, right? So what happens if we get, too hot, we get a fever and die. If we get too cold, we get hypothermia and die. So there's got to be like a middle, but we could also raise the level. We could almost raise the level, and that makes people uncomfortable because if I go too high, you know, I have like a fear of success or maybe a fear of failure. Um, I mean, a lot of this, and I've gone through it, and this is why I could speak to it, is, we train so hard and we go through our nutrition and we go through training and, we shed weight and we're getting cut. But like, if we look back, like the past 3 months, like I didn't change that much. If we go all the way back, 3 years ago when I joined Primal and I was like skinny fat fuck, um, the gains from the gains from there to now, it's incredible. But we lose sight of that
Yeah,
because we're so focused on like, such a small journey. And it takes gratitude, again, full circle. It takes gratitude to recognize, hey, I started here. Look at how long I've come. Don't measure it by, where you're at the past couple months. Look at the whole thing.
yeah, absolutely. That bigger picture outlook as well. That's really important. You know, I mean, I've done it. I've done it loads of times. I'd sort of pull myself up on it of like, like taking progress photos. So like, oh, you don't look as good this month as you did last month. But it's like, hold on a minute. Where were you go 6 months ago?
Huh.
Right. You know?
I mean, they do a good job of saying, they have the expectations. It's like at some point you're going to plateau. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't keep on losing fat forever. You only have a certain amount of fat to where
Yeah.
you're healthy. Um, so at some point you're going to plateau and you have to realize that, I had a bad habit of looking at my weight and having that be the measure of my success. So I started at
Yeah.
220, and with the first phase, I got right down to like 202 or something like that. And then just getting under the 200-pound threshold. So I don't know the kilogram version. It's probably like 96 kilograms or something. Anyway, trying to get down to 200, like I was bouncing off of 200 and I was
Yeah.
frustrated. And Matt Shin was like, dude, you're gaining muscle and you're losing fat, and that's why your body's doing this. But, I didn't realize it. So one day we kind of looked at a progress picture and I looked really, really jacked in one. And I was kind of like just getting started in the other. He's like, how much did you think that you weighed right here? And I'm like, I don't know, 198. He's like, yes. How much did you weigh over here? I was like, I don't know, 205. He's like 198.2. I was like, what? Like, so I was like,
Right.
my body was going through things that I didn't see. And my story is all the way up here. Like, I'm creating my own, like, oh, I'm not training hard enough. I'm not eating good enough, whatever. But on the biological side and the stuff that I can't see, this is what your body's doing. And that's why I stopped making the number the metric, the performance indicator, and it was just like, how do you feel and what does your body look like? I mean, it's all the intangibles that you start looking at after that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that's sort of the looking at yourself in the mirror when you don't have any clothes on. I think that's when you if you're looking at yourself and you're looking pristine, but you're not seeing that, I think that's when you need to start addressing things.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line too, and it depends on where guys are, because some guys need to celebrate where they're at, right? But there's a fine line between celebrating and then still still having that drive to accomplish, the end goal. So not being complacent on where you're at, and always just keep on trying to work to the next step, but also celebrating where you are. It's almost like you're going in two different ways there with your mindset.
I had a really good quote on that when you were on about keep progressing.
Uh-huh.
It was is it Jill Ellis, the uh, soccer coach? I think that's the name.
Okay.
But yeah, she said at the top of the mountain, it's quite small and the air is thin, and that's because you're not supposed to stay there. You're supposed to keep climbing.
Ooh, that's a really good one.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's good. That is, yeah.
That is really good. One of the other ones that I like too, and I just saw it recently and I used it on a post, was the magic that you're looking for lies in the work that you're not willing to do. Like shit. And for me, it's not so much physical. I'll do any physical work ever. It's like the emotional stuff that that um that you just, the soft skills sometimes. But anyway, back to your program though. What is like a program, like an initial phase look like?
Um, the initial phase. Well, it's as in the program itself.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's a 6 week program. It's a 6 week at the minute. Um, and yeah, we start off with circuit training. And then obviously your circuits you get progressively harder. Um, and then we go into your mindset stuff, all of the fun bits, like we said about the goal setting, um, learning your why, so important, and then your communication with yourself, with others, your emotions. Yeah.
So you do a lot of mindset and there's a lot of physical. If you were to have one to get the other, would you rather a resilient mindset or the physical discipline first?
It's the mindset. The mindset. Yeah. Another good quote, Abraham Lincoln. If you give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, I'll spend the first four sharpening the axe.
Absolutely.
Yep, yep. And that's it. And that is it. Like originally when I was sort of like, this is what I want to do, I was only going to be sort of doing this sort of life coaching, mindset coaching, whatever you want to call it. And then looking back at it, I thought you need to have a healthy mind to be able to get a healthy body. Most people want the healthy body. Well, there's also the mind, that sort of mind, body, spirit.
Hmm.
They all need to be in equilibrium in order to progress and to hit your goals and just to live happily. So that's why we brought in um, the physical aspect of it, the physical training, and as well, it's free endorphin hit. So people love that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think anyone that could be given a tool to help sharpen their mindset, it's such an easy sell, even though it's just an idea and it's intangible. If somebody was to give me a blue pill and say this is going to help your mindset, I wouldn't even ask any questions. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, unless it was like, mind altering or something. But somebody just pop me MDMA or something like that. But theoretically speaking, if it was just strictly mindset, I mean, I think we would all take it. And I think that's awesome how you're a stand for guys and helping them acquire that tool. How would somebody do you do mostly like in-person training, or is it virtual?
So at the moment it is in person. So we meet once a week for a 2 hour session. But then obviously the goal is take it national to then go international. So the only way I'm going to be able to do that is I'll clone myself 10 times.
There you go.
No, it's to obviously I'm going to have to go digital and have to go virtual. So that's the goal. That's what I'm working away at. You know, because you can get there are I don't know if you've looked into it, but there's millions of different apps and different pieces of kit to use and stuff, and it's like which one's going to be the best? You know?
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's a better problem to have than not having any of the tools available. We live in a
Absolutely.
world of abundance. So
Yeah.
what part of town are you in?
So I live in Blackpool, which is in northwest of England.
Okay. So if somebody
Yeah.
wants to reach out to you and like sign up, how do they get a hold of you?
So yeah, if you message the social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, or even just find me on social media, just shout us a message and we'll go from there.
And how like so for all the listeners, what are they going to be searching?
Oh, so it's Let's Go Coaching. So it's Let's Go exclamation mark coaching.
And that's on. I know that's how I find you on Instagram.
Yeah, that's on the Insta as well as Facebook. Yeah,
Perfect. Tom, man, it was a pleasure.
no problem. Pleasure was mine, Jimmy.
Dude, you're the man. I appreciate you coming on here.
No problem, mate. No problem. I'm gonna have to get out and do a race over in the US.
Dude, same thing. I'm due to come back over there. Probably not this year, but next year.
Awesome, awesome.
But I'll holler at you, brother.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.